Hello, this is Stan the History Man. I'm your host, Dr. Stanley Sandler. Today I'd like to talk about what were the Nazis? What did they stand for? What were their goals and their aims and so on, especially the philosophy of Nazism. Well, one of the things we can discard is, well, it's half and half. The name of the official name is the National Socialist German Workers' Party. So we can't just say it's a bunch of right-wing thugs. Because the nationalism, yeah, you say that's extremely right-wing, but the Socialist German Workers' Party, now that's a bit different about Germany. But that's what it was. And they were what they said they were. National, Deutschland Liberalis, Germany overall, Socialist German Workers' Party. All of the reforms and improvements that began under the Bismarck administration in the late 19th century were kept and expanded. They had free health care, free education, all unemployment compensation. They even had a crusade against smoking. Of course, Hitler himself was a fervent anti-smoker, but there was a feeling in Germany at that time that smoking was bad for you. Now, of course, the whole health issue there was to have good German soldiers, but still, they were way ahead of us. We were at a time when doctors were advertising cigarettes are good for you, this brand is good for you, or whatever. So in that respect, and I think we have to say that unlike the communists, the Nazis delivered the goods. That is, they said, we're going to abolish the Treaty of Versailles, we're going to bring you Germans back to work, and we're going to make Germany proud. And that's exactly what happened. They very soon, unemployment went way down as Germans were put to work in mostly defense plants, building armaments and so on. And then all the health benefits, of course, that Germany got out of the Depression, so the German state had more money. And building also the autobahns, the Germans went back to work. And it's about the only country in the world, of course, the Russians claim the same thing, but the only country in the world that had no unemployment problem. If anybody's unemployed, they find work for them. Same thing with the communists. So they delivered the goods. Then the Treaty of Versailles, we're going to tear it up, this diktat, this dictation, the dictated Treaty of Versailles. And first thing they did was reinstitute conscription. Treaty of Versailles said no draft conscription. 1935, we got one now. What are you going to do about it? Second thing, no Air Force for Germany, Treaty of Versailles. We've got an Air Force now. What are you going to do about it? You cannot unite with Austria. 1938, we unite with Austria. What are you going to do about it? So they certainly kicked holes in the Treaty of Versailles, pretty much made it a dead letter. And by the way, I think it's kind of interesting or rather rich. The Germans own about this terrible Treaty of Versailles. What it did to Germany, just a mess. It gutted Germany. Look what they did to the Russians, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. When they had the whip hand, they defeated Russia. And Russia lost vast territories, the Baltic states, Finland, and had to pay an indemnity in gold on top of that for the privilege of losing the war with Germany. A lot of people don't realize that Russia lost the war to Germany in World War I, which is one reason why Hitler thought he'd get away with it in invading Russia in World War II. So you have to admit the Nazis delivered the goods and make Germany proud again. Well, by 1937, 38, Germany was riding high. It was all the Allied countries were trying to negotiate with Hitler and the Nazis. They were saying, "We've got to appease him." The appeasement policy under MacDonald, Prime Minister MacDonald, and then Prime Minister Chamberlain, to if you give him what he's demanding, he won't demand any more. Okay, it's like you give a tiger a bunch of meat and he'll just go off and sleep. He won't want any more meat. It was a disastrous policy, but the point I'm making is that unlike the communists, which promised peace, land, and bread, and didn't give all three of those, failed on all three of those counts, and I'll talk about that in another episode, the Nazis delivered the goods. So by the time war came, Germany was a mighty industrial power, a mighty military power, and France lost the war, and Britain darn near lost the war. So again, I would say the Nazis were a combination of what they said. They were national and socialistic, and they said they provided the goods, and they made Germany a proud country and led it to disaster. Well, that's the episode of Stan the History Man for now. I'm your host, Dr. Stanley Sandler, and we'll talk later.